What was normal 20 to 30 years ago, but is considered a luxury now. New furniture made out of real wood. Nothing angers me more than paying luxury prices for fiberboard framed garbage. It's legit why I started woodworking. Even my shitty projects that I'm unhappy with are infinitely better than the junk in stores. I'm with you. My kids went through 4 beds in 8 years in the pressboard crap. I built a scabby one out of lumber for half the price and they love it. Let them paint it and all and they couldn't be happier. Does it look classically better than the store-bought ones? No. Do the kids like it more? Hell yeah. I've got a kids' bookshelf my grandfather built for my mom and her sisters in the 1940s. Still solid as a rock, though it might be painted with lead. As long as they're not eating paint chips, it'll be fine. If you want to have it repainted, do not remove the existing paint yourself unless you test it and there's no lead. Let a professional strip it. Source: me. A person who worked for a company that did many types of environmental remediation. Owning the software you purchased. Paying no more than 30% of your income in rent. I lived in poverty housing and this was how they determined our rent. It was 30% of mom's income, regardless of how much she was making. That was 20 years ago, not sure what starving kids do today. Not being expected to be reachable 24/7. Why pay for a phone if you're not going to use it? I pay for the mobile computer the phone is attached to. The phone is just one of thousands of functions. I recently decided to keep my phone on silent at all times. Not vibrate, silent. I check it when I want and not when it goes off. It's made my daily life much better. My wife, kids, and parents can call me. Everyone else is screened by Google Assistant or sent straight to voicemail. I'd never go back to having the ringer on. Concert ticket prices. Sure does seem like ticket prices went from $50 to $200 really fucking fast. I remember as a kid, where I lived they would allow people to just visit an area of the airport from where they could see the runway and flights take off. They didn't have to pay anything for it. People would spend hours just looking at flights take off and land. Edit: to everyone saying this is still doable in many parts of the world, that's great. I haven't been to those parts of the world yet and where I come from one would still need to pay a certain amount to get in and watch from a glass cabin or so. Back in the day, there would just be a gate on the airport ground, a small barricade where you could just stand for hours and nobody would bother. Retirement plan built into your job. Or just retiring in general law. Farmers markets. You used to be able to go down and get fruit and vegetables cheaper than the grocery store. Now it seems like they charge 3x more than stores do. I can remember growing up in Wisconsin, and you'd see a random stand in front of a farm, and you'd get corn like $10/$1.00, and it would be the most amazing corn you'd ever taste. Out in Amish country in Pa you still can find quite a few. Even some unattended stand that work on honesty. But still there has definitely been a noticeable decline from when I was a kid. Unattended fruit and veg stands with an honesty jar are great. I saw one with a sign that said fresh every morning and the cash box said all proceeds go to spoil the grandkids. Getting things repaired instead of buying new. I have a hedge trimmer from the 50s. It broke a few weeks ago, so I pulled out some screws and fixed its simple mechanical motor. Works fine again. Edit: chill guys, it's an old corded electric, no circuit board. If it doesn't have Bluetooth, how do you control it? I work making consumer appliances and it's ridiculous how much shit we put Wi-Fi and Bluetooth in. During COVID we were nearly at a dead stop. Because of a chip shortage. To put Bluetooth in a washing machine. Look at the Illum COVID test. YTF does a disposable single-use COVID test need a battery and Bluetooth? Incredibly wasteful. Privacy. Privacy used to be implicit, it was just there, you didn't have to think about it. Now it's explicit, you have to seek it out and take steps to ensure it remains in force. It's not that I expect privacy in public, but I shouldn't have to worry about being in someone's video/photo on my way to do the laundry either. Ick why people want to film themselves doing laundry. Or gym locker rooms. Put your camera away. I don't care that you got a good pump going and this is when you look good. It's a fucking locker room and you don't have the right. Oh, you don't have the right. My gym has a designated posing room with mirrors and selfie tripods and flattering lighting. I'm not kidding. But it's a bodybuilding mecha type gym for serious lifters, and it really solved the issue of everyone blocking the dumbbell rack by posing in front of the mirrors. Being left the fuck alone. Buying something and just owning it. Playing a video game without an internet connection. Not having to provide your email address for every single fucking thing you do. Yeah, try getting a quick haircut. What's your phone number? Me, no, I just want my haircut, but we need it for our tracking. How about an email address? Me, no, I just want a haircut. And suddenly people are looking at you like you're a dick. I have even tried the whole no thanks I just want a haircut, it doesn't matter, they are still going to continue asking. I now just make up random shit. Best part is I go to the same place and they know my face and give me the squinty eyes. Pro tip, 8675309 with any area code will work for just about any service, sign up, loyalty program, whatever, and it's probably already been set up. This pro tip is going to die in a generation. I've been using this tip for years, whenever I travel and buy groceries. Cashier, do you have a rewards card? Let's find out. What's the local area code here? Cashier, face with raised eyebrow. Single income families buying a home. Buying a home in general. Studio apartments I am working on will rent for 50% of my salary. How can I spend 50% of my income on rent but still save for a house? Household products that didn't break within the first few years of use. My grandma had the same fridge from 1993 for a good while before deciding to switch to a newer, bigger one 2 years ago. Yes, it broke within those 2 years. My mom's wedding cookware is still going strong 25 years later, but whenever she needs new pans they start flaking Teflon into the food within a few months. Good quality fabric in clothing. I have clothes from the 90s and 80s from my mother that still hold up today. These days, I'm lucky if my shirt isn't saggy and misshapen within a year. When my grandpa died I inherited a lot of his clothes. I wear so much of his LL Bean clothes from the late 90s/2000s, they hold up better than most things I could buy. Photographs on actual photographic paper. I know it's still possible but oh so rare. Items not requiring a subscription each month. Also, every little appliance you purchase requiring some app or your email to verify your identity just to use the thing. You're a coffee maker. You don't need my email, you just need to make me a coffee once every 3 mornings. Being able to go out every Friday after work and being able to afford it. Went out with my cousin. Bought food, for drinks for myself and my fiancé. Came up to $120. Going out got freaking expensive. Legroom on an airplane. Having a meal on a flight as well. A yearly family vacation out of the area lasting 4 to 10 days. Getting a handwritten letter. I actually got one from a Jehovah's Witness last week. Feels like they started this during COVID when going door to door wasn't recommended. A company-funded pension plan in the private sector. My wife's grandmother retired from one of our local health insurance companies over 30 years ago with a full pension. She's 91 and still receives her pension, although the insurance company was acquired by a larger organization a few years back. It's a modest pension, but it allows her to live a comfortable and independent life. Nowadays, companies only offer 401k or similar retirement plans. Outside of education/government, very few private sector companies offer pension. I'm fortunate enough to be employed by one that still does. Being able to afford having only one person working in a relationship. Yeah, my dad as a college dropout restaurant manager made 6 figures, had 2 houses and 2 new cars in the 1980s. Mom just raised us kids. 35 years later my wife and I have 2 bachelors and a master's between us, 3 jobs and can just barely afford a house that's 50% the size of one of my parents' houses from the 80s. We make less combined than our dads did alone with no degrees. Bullshitting your homies on the playground. Had this revelation last week when talking to my nephew. His friend told some blatant lie, I guess, 9-year-old, and everyone pulled out their brand new iPhones to Google his lying ass. Remember when someone would say something and you just believed them? Even if you didn't, you were in for an hour-long argument on how it wasn't possible for Marilyn Manson to remove his ribs to suck his own dick. It is a luxury because it takes either credit or popularity to just be believed these days. Shit, I doubted half my professors just because they were old. Back in grade school we had a friend who was a compulsive liar and would always have a story or some fact to input into every conversation, and after some time we just stopped calling them out because it was so much. One day they said their uncle was a pro ATV rider and was on the cover of an ATV magazine. Another kid asked what magazine and what his uncle's name was, and then proceeded to pull out that exact magazine they had bought at the grocery store earlier that morning. Boom, no uncle on the cover. The liar tried to say it was a different issue blah blah blah, but it was such an awesome moment to witness. Family vacations. I remember going on road trips regularly and even flying once or twice as a kid. Now that I have kids there's no way I can afford a week-long trip to the Badlands, Grand Canyon, Disney/Universal Studios etc. Best I can do is a day trip to the Dells maybe once a year. Who, a fellow upper Midwesterner. Pork belly. Used to be a bad cut of meat that was disposed of or given to the poor for dirt cheap prices. Then rich people realized that the poor made it delicious, which then caused prices to skyrocket. Same with chicken thighs, brisket, and ribs. All the cheap barbecue cuts are expensive now. It's everything, even oxtail and short ribs are expensive now. I miss the days of dirt cheap brisket. Even ground beef is going up in price, and that is literally just whatever is left over from the other cuts that was thrown into a grinder. Calling a company and getting a person on the other end of the phone. Edit, thanks for the awards, kind people. I really didn't expect this to blow up like this. Now literally having to fight the IVR, and God help you because they've now enabled the robot lady to just straight hang up on your ass. You've made too many invalid selections. This call will now be disconnected, goodbye. What? Thank you for watching. In the comments below the video you can write what was normal 20 to 30 years ago, but is considered a luxury now.